This is Trophy Dark Butter Princess Part 1. I want to start by having all of us introduce ourselves. So when I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you would like for us to know about you. I will start. My name is Jason. I use he, him. I am the founder of the Gauntlet Gaming Community and the publisher of the game from which Butter Princess sprung, Trophy Dark, but I am not a creator of Butter Princess. I'm just a fan today, as far as that goes. Let's go over to Brian.
I'm Brian Sago. My pronoun is he, and I am the author of Butter Princess.
Fabulous, thank you. And Ben.
I'm Ben. I use he, him pronouns, and I made the character keeper for Butter Princess. You can find my stuff at Arctosaur on Twitter and places.
Thank you so much. Sarah.
Hello, I am Sarah. I just really enjoy all things roleplay. My pronouns are she, hers, and I've listened to the creator talk about Butter Princess for months now, and I'm excited to play.
Fabulous, thank you. And new to our little group today, because the rest of us play together quite a lot, is Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Martins. I am he, him, and I did the book design for Butter Princess as part of my little unit called ClearKeep, which you can find at clearkeep.us.
Fantastic, thank you. So let's do CATS. CATS is an acronym that stands for Concept, Aim, Tone, and Subject Matter. I like to do this in order to establish some basic expectations for what's going to happen over the course of the next 2 weeks. And so I'll begin with concept. Let's start with Trophy Dark first, just for people who don't know what that is. Trophy Dark, in its core concept, is a dark fantasy game, a horror fantasy game specifically, that is about a group of doomed treasure hunters going into a place that does not want them there. Butter Princess is a little different in that it is set in a more real world contemporary time, and it is about a group of people who are at the Minnesota State Fair. And I don't want to ruin too much, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot going on in Butter Princess. It is my read of it is it's a very like surreal gonzo kind of horror experience, whereas core Trophy Dark is more of like straight gothic horror kind of thing. The aim of today is we are going to make characters and then we'll introduce them and then we will begin play. We're going to play through the first 2 rings of the incursion, or excursion, I guess you call it in this. We're going to play the first 2 rings and then we will have a little debrief. Our aim as players is to really embrace the notion of the play to lose ethos. So what that means is our primary goal here is to tell a good story, right? And so when we're playing to lose, do your best to keep your character alive and in it, but inevitably, because of the nature of the game, they're probably going to have a spectacular, maybe even grisly end. And when that time comes, just embrace it and lean into it and give us the best story possible. The tone of Trophy Dark is dark. The tone of Butter Princess, I think, is probably a little lighter in tone, but I kind of like can't help but run things in a horror way, and so I suspect it's probably going to go into some horror places regardless. Like, I don't know. I think my background, like, this is from the Butter Princess PDF, and even though it looks on the surface like vintage and happy and joyful, I don't know, it looks pretty horrifying to me as well. So that's the tone I'm going for. In terms of subject matter, we are going to be handling subject matter via our character keeper. I will say that we'll have some safety tools on the table. The X card, if something happens in the game that you find to be objectionable for some reason, you can just say X card or type it in the chat and we'll stop and we'll change whatever it is. The open door policy is available. You can just leave if you need to. And then we'll do lines and veils. Lines and veils will be handled on the character keeper. Just go and note the things that you would rather, if you don't want it to be in the game at all, that's a line. If you prefer to keep it off screen, but you're okay with it being in the game, that is a veil. I will say that Butter Princess comes with the following content warning, which is gastronomical overindulgence and food horror, which sounds more like a promise to me than a warning, but nevertheless, there we are. And I think that's going to be it for cats. Do you all have any questions about that? Okay. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I added to the safety tools there the gastronomical horror as a checkbox, and I checked the interest level. And yet, if any of you feel a need to override that, override it. Don't feel locked into that.
Fabulous. Okay, so let's go ahead and make characters. We're going to pause the recording while we make characters. So viewers will see you in like a second. Okay, so we are ready to introduce these characters. I'm going to go in the order of the sheet and just give us the basics at this point. Your character's name, their occupation, their background, maybe what skills they have, their drive is really important. And if you have chosen to have any feats of hubris, which is what we call rituals in Butter Princess. If you know more beyond those details, you're free to tell us those things as well. But we'll start with Brian and Vu.
All right, I am playing Vu. Vu is a grease monkey, essentially a car mechanic with skills in mechanics, grease, and corners. But part of what makes Vu so good at being a mechanic is that he is truly an escaped dairy golem. He's almost like a supernatural lubricant with skill and humanity. And his goal, or his drive rather, is to prove my love to the Butter Princess herself. We'll see whether I am actually truly a dairy golem or just delusional and believe that I am. We'll see how that plays out. In terms of feats of hubris, I took weave to pass through congested spaces with ease, and food fight to cause harm with food.
Fantastic, thank you. Sarah, tell us about Angie Lebowski.
Angie is a tchotchke buff. I just collect all of the little ceramic things. And I actually am very poor. I have season passes and I don't like to spend a lot of money, but I wander around and I people watch and then I collect little knickknacks. I have, my drive is to steal the Butter Princess for a private collector. And I have the feats of hubris of a banshee shriek, and that allows me to stop all in their tracks, and customer service to sway a situation with kindness. Oh, and I'm starting with 3 rune.
Fantastic, thank you. Mike, tell us about Gordon, aka God Giver.
Well, it's pronounced God Giver. Just need to be clear about that. And he will probably have to be clear about that many, many times throughout the excursion. Gordon is a Christian artist who's modeled himself after Bon Iver. And so he naturally is a Battle of the Bands underdog, as well as a guild bedeviled evangelist. And his drive is a little odd for someone of his inclination. He is trying to summon the spirit of butter to this earthly plane by sacrificing the butter bust on his home altar. So he believes that this is a graven image and wants to get rid of this idol of inferior god. And so he's going to summon that god, and then he's going to destroy it with the power of backwoods rock and roll.
I love it. Thank you. And finally, Ben, tell us about Henry Wiggins.
Henry Wiggins is a wannabe YouTuber. He goes by Albino Peacock. And he was formerly a wrongfully terminated artificial inseminator, but he's hoping to get his foothold in the YouTubing industry by sending the butter sculpture for a YouTube-worthy ride on the Electric Viper. He has the feat of hubris sales to let someone have his way, and these skills stunts, narcissism, insight, and willpower.
Fantastic. Okay, I love all that. Before we begin the excursion, let's talk a little bit about the rules of the game. That are some rules that are worth emphasizing a bit. First is that the story is a very collaborative process. The excursion is it is a linear sort of thing. There's 5 rings to it, and we start in ring 1 and end in ring 5, and that will happen inevitably. But it is still a fairly sort of skeletal thing because that's the nature of the game. The story is filled in as we play together. And the main way we do that is through a mechanic called the risk roll, because the risk roll gives us an opportunity as players to comment on things that we think could go wrong when dice hit the table, as well as make contributions to the story that are called devil's bargains. So if someone is doing something dangerous and they're doing a risk roll, in order to get another die for their die pool on that roll, they can accept a devil's bargain from another player. And the devil's bargains can be, they are things that just have to complicate the character's life in some way. And they are things that will happen no matter what, whether the die roll is successful or not successful. My standard example here doesn't make as much sense in the context of Butter Princess, but I will adapt it as needed. So let's say that Gordon is trying to leap across a particularly wide drainage trench, and there's going to be a die roll involved in that, a risk roll. And devil's bargains are coming around, and everyone says, everyone's making their offers, and someone offers, well, the devil's bargain is no matter what, Gordon, your very expensive recording device is going to fall into the water. Now, if you succeed at the roll, it's because it just slipped out of your hand. But if you fail at the roll, it's because you also fell into the water, right? That's a simple devil's bargain, but it's perfectly fine. A more interesting devil's bargain might be something like, no matter what, on the other side of this little trench is someone who you used to minister to when you were in the church, right? And something bad happened with that person. And so that's a juicier devil's bargain that kind of plays into to Gordon's occupation and goals, right? So that's sort of how that works. And it's how you can kind of introduce things into the story as a player. So that's one thing to know. And well, really, that's kind of the main thing I think for Trophy Dark that I kind of want to focus on. So we'll just leave that there. I will say, though, that we're going to be using the relatively new help roll and contest roll as well in this run through of the game. That's something that sort of came about 3/4 of the way through Trophy Dark's lifespan, but it is incorporated into Butter Princess. So that's great for Butter Princess. But I'm not going to go over the rules for it now, just to say that we will have those options available. And so, with all that said, I think I want to go ahead and just do a big picture introduction to what we're doing here. Butter Princess, a game of indulgent doom, fried food, farm animals, carnival rides, armpit to armpit humanity. Welcome to the State Fair. A weekend here will help you forget your weekdays, but leave your dignity at the gate. Nestled within, 90 pounds of grade A butter has been hand sculpted into the likeness of the Butter Princess, and you have a stake in the fate of this dairy sculpture. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and do ring 1. Ring 1, misplaced confidence at the gate. You all arrive via shuttle bus. Experienced fairgoers like you know that the parking is terrible. An hour on a shuttle bus gives you enough time to make unearned character judgments, specifically of each other. I would like for you each to describe how your first impression of the character to your right rankled you, And here we're going to go by the character sheet. So Vu will speak about Angie and so forth. Henry, you'll be speaking about Vu. And whoever wants to start, go for it.
I as I'm writing that bust, noticing how my nails are always kind of cracked with some grease underneath them, and this Angie lady, her nails are that kind of pristine acrylic filed almost to a point, but not quite a point, and like in that way that you can't do anything with hands like that. Like you can't even like poke your eye out on accident if you're not careful. It's just sort of that, like she's not the salt of the earth. She doesn't work with her hands. It's obvious.
Angie has assumed that Gordon must be some sort of schizophrenic personality, because all he's doing is tapping and humming and occasionally muttering about Jesus in a way that she's very uncomfortable with. So she keeps just kind of like shifting her seat a little bit further away.
And I think Gordon's doing that right now because he's really anxious about Henry's like recording equipment, like his like little like GoPro camera and like that type of thing. And it's just like really put off by like the quality of the electronics and the acoustic equipment and that type of thing. It's very like digital and very mainstream and just doesn't have the right cathodes and warmness to the recording quality that he would like. And so he's kind of, getting really like percussion, Jesus percussion-y in his anxiety.
And every time Henry tries to record a little TikTok or do a video, you can see between the seats that Vu is staring at the screen, just spiking the camera the whole time. And so he keeps trying to take different angles, and it's just driving him a little nuts that he can't get Vu out of the camera.
I love it. I think we're going to be on the shuttle bus for a bit. So the four of you are sitting very close to each other. You all have drives that are connected to one another, even though you may not realize it about each other. But in any case, role play.
So
Well, I come every year and I have never seen the bus this full. Excuse me.
This truly is the most devilish of all busts that have ever appeared at the state fair. I've seen the photos. I know it must be a plague upon this earth.
Oh, I see. Oh. Mm-hmm.
You hear that rattle? That's the timing belt. I could fix that. I could fix that really easily, but I'm a little shaky right now. I try to fast before going to the state fair, kind of make as much room as I can to consume as much as I can. So but trust me, I could fix it.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Albino Peacock here from the bus to the state. Do you still? Can you? Do you mind sitting down a little bit? You're right in my shot, dude.
Dear, I'm sorry. What was your name? I'm pointing at Vu.
It's Vu, man, Vu. And
Oh.
I think I might get famous if I get on this guy's camera here. That'd be good for my mechanic shop. Give me a minute. I want to plug my mechanic shop. Stop by Vu's Mechanics.
But is that the kind of famous that you want to be?
Well, I don't think that everybody has to be famous. No, Vu, dear, you really should eat something. Otherwise, you could get really sick. Like, it's not good to eat nothing but corn dogs all day.
Yeah, I could get a case of the hypochondria real fast.
No, you have to pick your spots. You get your donuts over there, and she just continues to talk about the like hot spots of that corn dog there.
I'm gonna kind of lean one of my greasy fingers in towards Henry's recording. Is it your phone you're recording on?
Oh yeah.
Almost like I'm gonna
At
get
this
my
point.
greasy finger on your touchscreen. What's that do there? Is that where
Whoa,
you?
whoa, 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 whoa! You don't touch the equipment, dude. Not without signing a release, at least.
I lean over to Vu and just say, it's lousy equipment anyway. You don't want to touch it. You'll probably get something off of it.
True. How can you fix a thing that rectangular and slick? Like, where to put a wrench.
Oh, and then the mini donuts by the beer stand on the other side of the garden. Those are the best ones because they use the most cinnamon in them.
Electronics these days, they're just disposable. They just build them to throw away. Like there's no appreciation of maintenance anymore. People have lost sight of what's good about the world.
They have. Sometimes, wouldn't you agree, Vu, that you have to do maintenance on your soul to just be better prepared for what is to come?
Well,
there's
Self-care.
There's that motorcycle maintenance book that I heard about. I think that's religious, isn't it?
In some ways, but really the only maintenance guide that someone like you needs is this here. And he pulls out a like teen study Bible. It's got illustrations too. I'm sure you'll love it.
Angie is super triggered by this.
My reading level is a little higher than what you might think, mister.
And, it's not always really appropriate to discuss gods with strangers. This year I heard that the butter sculptures are going to be even better. There is a new sculptor this year, and after you get your mini donuts and then you get a beer and then you go get a corn dog, I really do recommend that you go see it. It's excellent. Every year it's better than the last.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Albino Peacock here, recording from a bus full of olds. We're going to the state fair, and again, really, just keeps tilting the camera.
And with that, be sure to smash like and subscribe. The bus comes to a stop. You hear the of the, I don't know, hydraulics or something. And the shuttle bus driver says, looking in the mirror back at you all, "Here we are. It's the fair. You should know that once you cross the threshold of this shuttle bus, there's no turning back."
As I walk off the bus, I'm gonna kind of tap the driver on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, the timing belt. Have somebody look at that when you get back to the station."
He looks at you and he smiles a wide smile that like seems to extend like beyond the corners of his eyes. And he has what appears to be just very blackened teeth, but in fact is sort of like, well, you would recognize it, Vu. It's motor oil sort of seeping from between his gums. And he says, "That rattling tain't no timing belt." Please make a ruin roll.
I was gonna say I'm gonna take backward steps off the bus down the stairs in the wrong way.
We're gonna use the die roller in the trophy Discord. The commands are a little effed up right now, so you have to do. Actually, it may even be working right now. It looks like people are having trouble with it. Hold on.
I don't see the die roller link in the channels.
It's just dice. There's a channel that says dice. Are you in the trophy Discord? There you go.
I am, but I'm not seeing it.
Scroll all the way down.
Yeah. Oh, nope.
Just above the voice channels.
I'm not seeing it. contests.
It's right below that.
Huh. Is it possible to delete it on accident?
I don't know.
I don't think so. You could,
You
You
can just
might
roll
have
regular dice
minimized
if
it.
you want.
if you go to the search and do pound dice, it should.
Yeah. All right. So what am I trying to do? Semicolon is the code? No.
It's semicolon ruin now. Yeah. I
All
don't know
right.
why,
Semicolon run.
why it's that now. Okay, so you got a 5.
Yeah. I'm going up.
Ruin goes up if it's currently less than 5, and it is. How do you feel when you see this person, the driver, grinning at you?
Oh, so when you're working under a car and then it goes wrong and it gets in your face, like the fluids just come cascading. That's the worst part of the job, honestly. You ask me. I don't mind a little grit under my nails, but I try to maintain appearances. I it's important to me as a dairy golem that I pass for a human and I don't look like a greasy half human being. And seeing that this bus driver is just ingested this stuff, embraced it, is it's like it sort of sucks away a certain degree of my appreciation of humanity. I wonder if I'm even looking at a human. And then
I love it.
Take a few steps backwards down the bus steps and probably somewhere in there get hurt.
I'm going to give you the condition crippling nostalgia. You remember the way things used to be. You should speak wistfully for better days. But I think because you're a dairy golem, I think you don't have the same memories as everyone else of the way things used to be. But in any case, everyone else, I assume you disembark from the shuttle. The bus exhaust fumigates your bare ankles as you disembark. It is a flawless summer day. A broad blue sky arcs overhead. A sunny oasis of pleasure is just past the ticket taker. You can hear screams of joy in the distance. If you clear the turnstile, the crowds will part before you like Moses parting the sea, leading you to a new, wonderful, sun-dappled promised land. A parade of vintage cars is slowly idling by as you're in the parking lot. All of these cars, they're just moving along. I don't know enough about cars to say what kinds of cars they are, but I do
There's
know.
a 1940 Duesenberg that is like, the condition it is in is incredible. Even looks like it might be the original paint job, if you ask me.
Indeed.
They don't make them like this anymore.
One of the cars is a hearse. It stops, and the driver looks out the little window. He's waving at the 4 of you, waving and smiling. Nothing unusual about that. I am curious, though, who do you think he's waving at?
Me, obviously, he's a fan.
Indeed, indeed. Gordon, who do you suppose he's waving at?
I think it's me, but I want to avoid the attention because I'm such a big star within the Christian music scene, which is the music scene, really. And I don't want to draw that attention right now.
Interesting. Angie, do you have a lot of experience with death?
No, I do not, but I am an only child. My parents are still alive. My grandparents are still alive. I don't have any experience with death, not a pet. My mother was allergic. So no.
Vu. The cars pass. What is your favorite fair food, Vu? Tell us all about it.
Ooh, so if you were to offer me a normal Oreo cookie, no thanks. They're not, there's not the right combination of anything to make that worthwhile. But a deep fried Oreo cookie brings it to a level of delicious decadence that has absolutely zero nutritional value. And there's something special about that.
Invented at the Texas State Fair, incidentally. This is where all such monstrosities originate from. Gordon, what's your favorite fair food?
Oh, I don't like to admit it, but it is just essentially a deep fried stick of butter. Yeah, you can gnaw on it all day, and it just gets warmer, and like it starts out kind of waxy, and it's got that tougher bite to it, and it just like turns into beautiful melted gold over the course of the day.
Henry, I think you've eaten a particularly disgusting fair food on camera before for your followers. What was it?
It was deep fried stick of butter. And it got over 200 likes.
Angie, what is the theme of the fair this year?
It is far more dairy centric than it has been in years prior. Typically, it's everything on a stick. So this year they've gone even further and they've started to put like a lot of, you can get milkshakes, you can get deep fried butter. All of the corn on the cob is just dripping with butter. But they also seem to, like, they have an all you can drink milk station. There's a lot of dairy happening at the fair in general.
Is the milk station, do you have to like get on your back and get underneath the nozzle and like squeeze it into your mouth? That kind of thing.
As a season ticket holder, I have the commemorative cup from years prior and I just go for refills.
Very good. Nothing like a big tall glass of milk on a hot summer day, let me tell you. Oh, the fair. The Butter Princess competition begins a bit later. For now, you will enjoy the fair and scope out your competition. You are moving through the line to have your ticket torn. Gordon, the ticket taker, a dour, wan lump of a woman, looks up at you and gives you a snarl of recognition. She knows who you are. Why is that a problem?
Oh, she is also the bouncer at the local strip club, which I've gone to a few times and do not want that to be known.
The four of you are all there, but it's Gordon's turn in line to have his ticket torn. And there is a bit of a delay because the ticket taker is staring at Gordon in his eyes. She's holding the ticket and she is getting ready to tear it in half, but she makes just the slightest little tiny break in the paper. It doesn't quite tear it all the way. And she stops. She goes again. And she stops. And finally she says, I know you.
I might look like someone that you know, but
I know you.
but
What are you gonna do here? There ain't no pretty girls here.
I mean, I've heard that there are,
No
but
pretty girls with their clothes off. That's for sure.
that is for sure. They wear parkas and such, I've heard.
Do your friends here understand what kind of a degenerate you are?
Now. What do you mean there, ma'am?
Don't let his Bible thumping fool you. There is
Don't.
sick perversion in this man's heart.
Judy, what are you on about? Can't you take his, what is this delay?
From the chat, Henry is recording. She looks up at you and she says, "This is a place of purity, of family fun."
That's what I hope to bring here, ma'am.
A bucolic slice of dairy-drenched heaven.
You can say that again.
Make a ruin roll.
Let's do it. I guess it's going up.
How do you feel?
Worried, conflicted, torn in half. That I'm here to spread the word and to destroy all evil, but my own demons are following me in, and it's known.
I'm going to give you the condition tallying regrets. You've made mistakes aplenty. Why take action when everything turns sour?
I'm gonna lean over your shoulder since I'm behind you in line and say, Gurdon it was, right? Gurdon, is this what it feels like when you're proselytizing to others? Is it kind of, it sort of looks that way.
Tell you when you're telling the truth feels truly joyful. You cannot tell the truth with a scowl on your face. God's truth.
She rolls her eyes
and make a get on with it gesture to the ticket.
She rolls her eyes and tears your ticket and gives you the cursory welcome. Enjoy your day at the state fair.
Yep. We'll see you later, ma'am. At church.
Everyone, you managed to get inside. The next layer of this ring is the security bag search. Henry, what contraband do you have that you hope they don't find?
Oh boy. I have not been to the Minnesota State Fair, but I feel like it's the kind of place where like bringing your own alcohol is discouraged. But he has a big bottle of some celebrity endorsed tequila just in his backpack.
I love it. It's like Ben Affleck's tequila or something,
Yep.
right? Yeah, it's good. Good. He's sort of going through the bags. Angie, are you clean?
On the inside of my tote bag is inside zipper for a refrigerated pocket in which I have brought my own dairy and cheese and snacks and such, because even though I have season tickets, I do not have much money to spend on all of the $14 hot dogs. So I also am hoping that they just don't open that particular zipper.
He's going through it. This could be fatal to your day at the fair if he finds your contraband, Angie. What are you going to do to make sure he doesn't?
Well, I do have my customer service skill. So should things go awry, I feel like I can just take a moment of kindness, but in lead up to that, what I want to do is just chat with him about his day. And oh, I know it's going to be bigger this year than ever before. How many people did you say have come through so far? And just kind of talk pleasantly to him in hopes to distract the search.
He pulls out a mini baby bell from your bag and holds it up like a red eye pulsating from his socket. And he says, ma'am, this is contraband dairy. Do you understand you are not allowed to bring your own cheese, cottage cheese, buttermilk, yogurt, flan, really any dairy-based product into the Minnesota State Fair?
Well, I just don't, I must have left it at the bottom of my bag from when I went to work yesterday. I didn't intend to. I'm so sorry. Is there,
Ma'am,
can't
I'm
we?
not going to be able to let you come in with this. I'm going to have to eat it all right now in front of you.
I
He begins
understand.
unwrapping the little red cellophane around the baby bell. Gonna break
Well,
that wax rind.
yeah, I'm so sorry. Couldn't you just let it go just this once?
Are you going to customer service him?
I am.
Let's do a risk roll. Mike, Ben, and Brian and myself all get to say what we think could go wrong here if you fail at the roll. Who has a thought?
What if he makes you eat all of it now so you have less room for the fair?
I'm thinking about the shape of those baby bell cheeses, and the security guard gets that wedged in his throat and just collapses, choking, and the rest of the security guards come flocking and see that Angie has essentially assaulted one of their own.
I'm going to say that he does eat all the cheese in front of you and forces you to watch. And then, kind of like Brian, he has a extreme gastronomical reaction. Mike, any thoughts on what could go wrong here? It's okay if you don't.
I love too much what's already been said too.
Let's talk about your dice, Angie. Do you have a relevant skill here? You're muted.
I suppose we could go for vigilance just in the persistent way. I'm just, please, sir, please, sir, please,
I'll
sir.
take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
All right.
Devil's bargains. I'm going to say no matter what, this particular bag checker just becomes a pain in the ass for the remainder of the excursion.
You have people asking you for cheese, like word gets out that you've got like cheese that you can distribute, and so you're always going to have people asking you for more.
That was what I was considering.
Kind of almost riffing on Jason's idea, but the security guard takes the sort of customer service pleasantries as flirtation, and is like, kind of thinks like, oh, you know, this Angie lady might be interested in me.
Lots of fabulous choices, Angie. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
You can reject them all, of course.
I feel like I want to go with cheese dealer. Like I
Okay,
just have,
like that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
was a good one, Mike.
And of course, you have to do a dark die because of the act of hubris. So go ahead and roll risk 2 light, 1 dark. You have a 5. There will be a complication, but you will otherwise succeed. I'm going to say that you actually, just to put a spin on the devil's bargain, the complication is that you are going to be frequently approached by members of a heretical cheese cult from here on out. So if you're okay with that, you let it ride. Otherwise, you can add well, actually, you can't add a dark die. You can ask for help, I suppose, but
Nope, I want to make you role play that. So yeah,
I will do it.
That's
I
excellent.
don't mind.
Cheese cults.
You otherwise
They're
succeed.
Scotties, right? They're
yeah.
from Wisconsin.
There you go. Yeah, exactly right. You otherwise succeed. Describe how you get past him. What does the act of hubris look like? Or what's it called? Act of hubris? Feat of hubris? Feat of hubris.
So I had been asking him to take it easy on me and just this once. And maybe I'll just lean in and listen, what's your name?
He says, ma'am, for security reasons, I can't tell you that.
I understand. Listen,
Let's
I'm
say
Angie.
it's John.
It's nice to meet you, John. But I really
His name thing says John.
I understand that this is your job. I am not trying to be any trouble. I just left it in my bag, and I'm sure that you have more important things to do. And I don't want to be a bother. So just this once, can't I just go through?
He pulls the bag and you close, and he whispers in your ear, I'm going to let you go this time, but you need to be aware. There's a group here, and they know when there's cheese. Keep your eyes open. Don't trust anyone.
Thank you, John. I'll keep my eyes open.
One of the people in line, Vu, says, it's an old woman. She says, oh, things sure have changed since I used to go to the fair.
Oh, tell me about it. It's just every year it's a little worse, isn't it? It's not like it used to be.
Oh, I was going to say it's lovely. But what are your memories of the fair?
Well, there's days I feel almost a connection that's preternatural, like prehistoric, sort of the dairy of old come to this earthly plane. This is where it all came to pass, that humans and dairy came together. But then other days I can kind of shake that off and just sort of recognize a nice motor car when it passes by.
She looks at you quizzically, and she just gives that same wide smile that reaches past her earlobes and says, well, let's have a fun day. I owe you a ruin, Angie, or your ruin goes up because you got a 5 dark. I owe you a condition. And I'm going to give you the condition hounded. You always feel like the crowd is squeezing in. Let's cut over to Henry for a bit. Our last stop at the bag check. Different bag checker. She sees the bottle and she says, I should probably say something about this.
I think Henry will kind of wink and reach into his pocket and slide a $20 Steam gift card on the counter. Say maybe you don't have to.
She's like, and she slips it into her pocket. And she's like, come through. Just let you walk
Thank you
right
so
by.
much. I'm at Albino Peacock on Insta.
A roller coaster roars overhead as you step inside. Passengers shrieking. Ah! A fanny pack goes flying out of the car and smacks you in the face, Henry. Just pow, right as you're doing a monologue. Please make a ruin roll.
It's going up.
The fanny pack is laying at your feet. What do you do and how do you feel?
On one hand, ouch, but on the other hand, he's checking to see if he caught it on video, because that would be great for Fail Army. He's already muttering Fail Army.
What do you do with the fanny pack, if anything?
Oh, then he'll pick it up once the camera's away and look up at the roller coaster and then start going through it.
Yeah. Inside, there are quite a lot of like rolls of quarters and hand sanitizer and different things like that, but also a state fair employee badge.
He'll kind of arch an eyebrow and just slip that into his pocket, and then I think he'll take the fanny pack and just leave it like hanging from a fence.
Yeah, good. Gordon, Godgiver, your eye is perhaps drawn to the miracle of birth barn. You can hear a cacophony of barnyard animals coming from within. There's a lot of excitement. Something's going on. People are converging on the miracle of birth barn, which is very near the entrance to the state fair. People are whispering and like hubbubbing. And a man comes out of the miracle of birth barn. He has a bundle in his arm, a blanketed bundle. And he raises it up over his head. And he says, "Behold, for a child is born unto us." And he lowers it down. And you see the little goat face nestled inside the blanket. And he's walking among the people to give them a chance to touch it. They all reach out, they all touch it. And he says, "The child is too weak yet to speak, so I shall speak for it. Bah! Bah! Bah!" As he brings it around and everyone's touching the goat. Bah! Bah! What are you doing?
Oh, I'm very disturbed by this.
Make a ruin roll.
I should know better than to say that, huh? I'm safe.
You're safe. It doesn't mean it's not disturbing, but it does mean it's not pushing you over the edge. I'm curious what you do, though.
So, I mean, obviously, like this is,
Ah!
yeah, heresy. And I'm going to try and draw some attention. So maybe I pull that guitar off my back. Maybe it's more of like a ukulele. So that's how I was able to get it into the fair. And I am going to just try and draw people's attention away from the Antichrist here by yeah, I'm gonna sing a song about the one true babe.
I love it. It's a risk roll to get the crowd away from this
Yeah.
scene. Everyone, Brian, Ben, Sarah, what could go wrong here?
I wish goats imprinted like ducklings, because then I know exactly what could go wrong.
I mean, this one could.
um, so I'm gonna go with just that there's also a duckling nearby that totally imprints on Gordon. Maybe that's a devil's bargain. That's not what could go wrong.
That'd be kind of a devil's bargain, yeah.
That's a devil's bargain. Hold on to that for that.
I think that like it's you just fail completely, and I think that you actually get taken up by this crowd of people. They think that you're singing about the goat.
Mm.
Any other fail conditions?
Well, the music itself could antagonize this new baby goat, causing it to struggle free, and chaos reigns after that.
This might be a devil's bargain, but Henry will secretly live stream it and you go viral instantly.
That's something kind of similar, which is like a local radio station, perhaps a Christian radio station, hears you and they're like, "You on the air now," and
yeah, that could be good.
call you over
There
the
is like radio presence here at the fair, right? There's always like a radio station there, right? I love it. Well, let's talk about the dice. So I think bravado probably gives you your one die, your initial light die. Now devil's bargains. I'm gonna say the devil's bargain is come back to me, actually. Somebody else can say first.
I'll reiterate the duckling. The duckling imprints upon you and is, now trailing you.
The jostling of the crowd around you causes you to break your highest string, and you're going to have to play on just 4. Or it's a ukulele.
Yeah, GCA.
Strings -1.
Get rid of the G string.
You're going to be recruited in the barn to help aid with further births.
And that's actually what I was thinking, something along those lines initially. I'm gonna second that, actually.
That's interesting. I'll take that, because then there's also that motivation that can guide people away from this like false messiah thing that's going on with this goat, and just be like, oh, that's just another baby goat.
Take a risk too.
Can I grab my number 1 foam finger in this situation?
Okay, sure.
Well?
Yeah. Yeah, you can use that as well. Okay, so risk 2-1.
Risk 2-1. Ugh, that is
a fail. And you cannot reroll either. We'll come back to this.
The question in the rules with the help roll: can people jump in on the help after a fail roll or not?
Yeah, you can help. Yeah, you can. If Mike wants to accept the help, and it's up to Mike. But
I would accept help.
I think that as the performance goes on, I think you can tell. Some of you can tell that like whatever Gordon is trying to pull off here is not working. The people are not being drawn in by this music. In fact, they're getting like extra protective over the new baby goat. They sort of like swarm around and like want to defend it. Um,
I'm doing kind of like a Blind Melon Christian parody. I'm like, all I can say is that that goat is pretty lame. Jesus is the one that is the most sane for you to follow. Yeah, it's not coming across
not
very
going
well at
well at
all. No,
all.
no.
Vu, were you going to try to help?
I have an idea to help to try to like start getting the audience clapping on 1 and what is it, 1 and 3? You're supposed to like just do it wrong.
I mean, you can give it a shot. You have to roll. You have to roll weak, and if you hit, if you roll 3, your ruin goes up. So,
All right,
That's pretty risky.
do you want to accept help?
I'll accept help.
Let's find out how it goes. Let's try it.
No, it was 1. It did not help at all.
And I'm tapping on 1 and 3. Here we go.
Bad. What are you doing in the meantime, Henry?
I think he's just kind of watching, more than a little astounded and embarrassed, and maybe trying to like get a group of people to snicker at this. Can
Angie,
you believe
what are
this
you?
guy?
Yeah, no, Angie, I assume you're there. What are you doing?
Angie was originally going to go and scritch the baby goat, seeing nothing wrong with this situation. So may have been swept up a little bit in the crowd.
Angie, someone walks up behind you, pressing in close. Quite a lot of people are pressing in very close to you right now. And one of them says, "We heard you are here to deliver the message."
Pardon?
The message?
I mean, I don't have any messages.
You know what we're talking about? The sacred curds.
You're not supposed to. Here. Reach in, get a little baby bell, just hand it over.
You offer it to me freely.
If you'll stop being so obvious.
They pocket it. We are here to get our hands on the beast that gave birth to that kid.
You want the goat?
The milk from this goat is prophesied
Goat's
to be
milk cheese is
churned
really good, yeah.
into the
yeah.
most important culture. You have to help us.
Well, I mean, you can go right into the barn there.
You have to
walk
help
right-
us.
I tell you what, if you just let me do a little bit more sightseeing, because I just got here. I haven't really, like, it seems like the barn's a whole situation now, and the crowds are really going to be thinner
well.
over, but
Take whatever amount of time you need to find your courage. We will be here watching.
you betcha.
Meanwhile, the song is going very poorly. Everyone is starting to get very defensive of the little baby goat, and they all begin to like recede into the barn, like almost as if you are repelling them, Gordon. And they all begin to like bleat at you in a hostile way. Dozens and dozens of people bleating, bah, bah, bah. They're not even good at bleating, bah, bah. And they're going and they're receding in, and the doors. And a man says, "Sorry, folks, the Miracle of Birth Barn is going to be closed for the rest of the afternoon." And crowd surges forward. The smell of cotton candy permeates the air. What was your devil's bargain on that roll?
That he would have to go and he would be included in the birds, I think.
Yeah, I
Oh,
have to
that's
help
right.
with the birds.
That's
which is-
right.
Now this is really problematic.
That might yet happen. It has to happen. We'll see. The crowd is dispersing, going on to other things. Fu and Gordon, you're the Fu, you're clapping pointlessly, helplessly, fecklessly. Let's just have that scene.
That goat is lame. Goat is lame.
Goat is lame.
It's lame.
Goat is lame.
I don't think it worked. The devil's power is much too strong in this place.
Am I being hauled into this barn also, or
No
am
one's
I
being
just
hauled
sort
to the
of-
barn yet. You're all just,
Oh, okay.
the two of you just there on the cobbles,
Yeah,
like
all right.
by yourselves, with the group having
And I kind of
receded
I'm
into the
clapping.
barn.
there like the breeze crosses my nose and I get a whiff of deep fried Oreos and I'm like,
Oh, Gordon,
it's kind of meander away.
you were by yourself, Gordon. The butter princess is still out there somewhere.
I guess I'll just put my ukulele back in the back. Four-string
Speak to me
samurai
of
style.
the
and-
spirit of butter. What is the spirit of butter? Why are you trying to bring it to this earthly plane?
Well, I think it's things like this that it's floating around the ethereal plane that it's causing. That would be my belief, that it's causing these strange things to happen. And so if I bring it here, I can confront it and seize it from being. So maybe I feel like part of the problem with what just happened is that the spirit of butter was not able to hear this praise and worship of the one true God, and to melt in its bright and brilliant presence. So yeah, if I can just get it closer and bring the spirit of butter to this world, then I can melt it forever.
The butter princess awaits. Henry, there is a radio, little public radio set up near the entrance. I think at one point they're doing a little trivia contest with some people in the crowd. And they ask a trivia question about YouTube. What video has the highest number of views on YouTube? People are shouting out different things, but you know the answer. What is it?
He'll just be like standing in the back, just quivering. Baby shark, it's baby shark, baby shark.
Baby shark, that's it. Come on up here. Get up here, get up here. And do you go up to the little
Oh, of course.
dais?
Yeah, arms up. He's just like, he's super into it.
That's great. That's great. Tell us your name, son.
Henry Wiggins at Albino Peacock.
It's like
With two X's.
That's fantastic. What was it, Mr. Peacock? You said.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Do you know a lot about YouTube and social media, son?
Oh yeah, that's my dream. That'll be me one day. Next baby shark.
Really, really. Well, I can see it. You're a very, very good-looking young man with that shining mop of butter yellow hair and a winning smile. So do you do something on YouTube? You perform little songs or something? Dances? Do you dances? I know the
I
kids
do.
like little dances.
I do some dancing, and on my second channel, I do Minecraft, Fortnite, and the only TTRPG D&D.
I don't know what those things are, but we're so happy to have you. And tell us how you regale the crowds with your knowledge of social media influencers and YouTubing and everything else as your three erstwhile companions wander closer to the Butter Princess, wandering away.
I also do influence consultation. So if anyone wants to, be an influencer like me, you can find me at @albinopeacockx on Instagram and just Albino Peacock everywhere else.
Now the X's, does that mean there's something dirty about it?
Oh no, just Albino Peacock was taken.
And yeah, so what are the three of you doing? You don't have any particular loyalty to Henry Higgins or Wiggins. The Butter Princess awaits. I assume you're moving in deeper.
Angie has a routine in which she stops at all of the little crafters and all of the little knickknacks and ceramics, and she's always picking things up and looking at, oh, this is lovely. Oh, you didn't sell this last year. Oh, and chatting with the vendors and moving towards the Butter Princess.
I love it. I love it. Booths are filled with glittering prizes, Angie. What's the toy you always wanted but couldn't have?
I really, 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 really liked horses when I was a girl. And there is a little specific memory I have. My cousin had a My Little Pony, and it was the best. It had the glitter mane, and it was bright blue. And all I wanted in the world was that, just that little horse. And I couldn't have it because my parents didn't want to buy me anything when I was young. The plastic was going to destroy the earth.
Vu, food of every sort in every direction, much of it fried and on a stick, as we've discussed. What pleasant childhood memory from a childhood you presumably didn't have, what pleasant childhood memory does it evoke?
Oh, well, I tell the people that my parents were immigrants to Minnesota here, and that I'm sort of first family generation born in the state. And when you go to do the physical at the doctor and they test out your well-being, contrary to most people's diets, I actually thrive on a diet that's high in fatty acids and triglycerides. And my childhood memory is essentially like seeing adult mortal humans turning down the oh no, I can't eat the last bite of that Minnesota thing where you don't take the last portion. And I just would sweep the room and clear all the plates.
I love it. I love it. There are posters all along this like initial little kind of boardwalk area. Gordon, posters of past Butter Princesses holding cute 4-H animals. One's holding a pig, smiling. Another's holding a gosling and smiling. One's holding a cow, but cat's pretty big, so there's somebody just out of frame holding the back of it up while they hold the front and smiling. And then the last poster, a Butter Princess looking into her empty arms. butter-colored tears dribbling down her cheek because she doesn't have an animal in her arms. Why does this fill you with regret? You're tallying regrets today.
It reminds me of this time that we went to the Minnesota State High School musical band conference. And so it was, all the kids from my middle school or whatever. And everyone had, their instruments in tow to go and perform in front of the judges. And I somehow was just like really focused on that Life Everlasting and forgot my guitar. And so I walked in to like the recital to perform and was standing on the stage or on the podium or whatever, and just did not have an instrument. And yeah, I found out that there was like a major like record producer in the crowd, or at least that's what all the other kids were saying. And it would have been my chance to really impress them. And I had no instrument. So I tried to do some beatboxing, and didn't really work. That's not my style. As God giver. Yeah.
There's a man standing next to you. Despite the warmth of the day, he is wearing a three-piece suit and a fedora.
Mm.
And he looks up at you as you're looking at the poster with the Butter Princess in her empty arms, and he says, "The child always dies. Always. It never survives. A new child is born, but I'm afraid that one will die too." And he turns to you and he says, "Go back. Go back and make a connection to the mortal coil with that child. We have been waiting for you." And then he wanders off.
I'm definitely pondering the meaning of that.
And so that is the conclusion of Ring 1. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back into Ring 2. Ring 2. Hope at the Miracle of Birth barn. Amusements beckon, but nothing offers respite from the heat rolling off the asphalt. Generators cough out diesel fumes. Frustration grows as crowds begin to vex you at every turn. Angie, the crowds are particularly vexing you, pushing in, crushing in. What do you do to give yourself some space?
I think that it's the bag strategy of like, if you're more, the larger your purse, the more personal space you have. That's probably what I'm trying to do, is just use my bag. Oh, sorry, could you, and just kind of nudge people a little bit accidentally.
You are all knights in shining armor, going on a quest across this fabled land of the state fair. And at the far end, in the far distance of this land, far ahead of you in refrigerated coolness, a refrigerated coolness so extreme, they wear parkas in August. The glorious butter princesses are taking turns modeling for their portraits. You cannot see them, but you know that they are in little refrigerated chambers, clear glass, modeling in the cold while the butter is being sculpted. There are 12 of them, like the Knights of the Round, these princesses, these presumptive princesses, having their portraits taken in butter. But you are still too far away. Right now, you are pressed close together, the four of you. A question for everyone, this time about the character to your left. What signs reveal the drive of the character to your left? Whoever wants to speak first, go for it.
Angie notices Vu consistently pulling the same picture out of their wallet, and just it's crinkled and tattered at the edges, and it looks like it's attached to a newspaper clipping, and it's just a picture of one of the dairy princesses, presumptive ones anyway.
She's gonna win. This is her year. I know it. So Henry, with his technical gadgets and his video recorder and his microphone and stuff, he keeps prodding other fairgoers, asking about entry conditions to the Electric Viper and carry-on luggage. And like, who asks about carry-on luggage? And can you get 90 pounds of carry-on luggage onto an Electric Viper? And it's really suspicious. Like, there's something strange going on there.
Henry keeps overhearing Gordon muttering about the spirit of butter and his task, his purpose. And I think he keeps catching it in his little TikToks and just, come on, having a re-record.
And then at some point, Angie is like rifling through her bag and some stuff falls out onto the asphalt. And I go and like help her like pick it up. And I pick up this big business card for a Louis P. Maestro. And then it says Black Market Dairy Art Collector, which seems very suspicious. I'm not sure why someone would title. And so, yeah, I hand it back to her with a somewhat suspicious glance.
Indeed, indeed. The smell of buttered corn on the cob permeates the air. At one point, you see an angelic being. Her hair flowing in the wind like golden shafts of wheat, wearing just a sort of sheer, sort of negligee sort of thing, walking by with a pail overloaded with chocolate chip cookies. She walks by to the large all-you-can-drink milk stand which is housed inside a fiberglass cow, and which patrons lie beneath, having milk sprayed directly into their mouths. And like a saint giving sustenance to the poor, like an angel giving salvation, like a priest giving the body of Christ. She places a cookie in their milk-stained hands, and they bite into it gratefully. You are pressed further along to the seed art exhibit. Out of character, I don't even know what that means, but
Do you want to know?
Vu.
Imagine
Oh yeah,
mosaic tiles, but done entirely with crop seeds.
Very good. Vu, what crowd-pleasing images are on display? Give us one.
Somebody bent the rules a little bit, because normally you're using agricultural seeds, but somebody was using little dried purple aster flowers to do a life-size portrait of Prince. So this thing is like 7 feet tall. Purple asters adhered to the masonite board and then surrounded with kind of a radiating spray of sunflower seeds, then getting smaller down at the outer perimeter. It gets down to like those little tiny quinoa and chia seeds and teff at the very, very edge. So visually, it's a pretty well done display. You can see why they bent the rules and let the flowers in.
Gordon, there's an old woman who's openly weeping as she looks upon a seed art depicting a religious icon. What does it depict? And what seeds are used?
So it's it's the same artist that did the Prince one that Vu was just describing, and it's Moses. It's Moses because he's in a Minnesota Vikings uniform, and it just says Moses, and then his number is like 3, and he's it's like touchdown Jesus, and he's just parting the sea.
The sea of seeds.
Yeah.
Angie, something in this Moses seed mural indicates foreboding and darkness, something that you notice, but perhaps no one else does. What is depicted in the seeds?
Actually in the background, and it's the seeds themselves have started to fuzz and mold and changing the colors ever so slightly of the green football field and starting to sour it.
Intriguing. Henry, there's a pair of crows fighting over French fry nearby. What are you doing?
Filming it.
Indeed. Are you narrating? Are you monologuing?
Yeah, I think it's like as if it were a cockfight. Like he is just like commentating the whole thing and leaning in, trying to get the best shot.
Indeed. Eventually, the crowd is pressed forward towards, well, they've put up some barriers, some metal barriers, and you see just on the other side of the barrier what appear to be thousands of bees, a cloud of bees, and people desperately with like smoke trying to get the bees to disperse. And you're at the front. People turn back. Their hopes of going this way dashed. But the four of you are there. The man says, "Very sorry, folks. We had a bit of a mishap at the giant beehive in the eco experience. I'm afraid you're not going to be able to come this way. And that's bad news, because it will slow you down considerably on your quest to find the Butter Princess." Angie, did you have something to say?
Would it be possible? I imagine that Angie has a state fair map from 3 years ago that she keeps making notes on and circling. And I would like to try to use my navigation to find and skirt around this obstacle.
Oh, I like it.
Maybe like through the back of that tent, I know will lead to behind that booth. And then if I don't step on any
that's
of the
good.
radio
Yeah.
equipment, that kind of thing.
I love it. Let's do a risk roll. Ben, Mike, Brian, what could go wrong?
You will stumble upon a gathering of a rival cult.
How many cheese cults are there? Is it soft versus hard cheeses?
This is
Are
the
these
vegan-
cheddar people?
The Vegan Cheese Collective.
Oh, gross.
That in the 3 years since you picked up this map, they've redone various aspects of the fairground, and you're going to route yourself right into the haunted house.
As you mutter about your goal here, you step on the electronics, which happens to be the PA system, and broadcast your intentions to the entire state fair.
That's pretty good. I'm going to say that if you fail, you're going to end up in an exhibit that, let's just say, is unhygienic. Let's get some dice on the table. You've already explained your skills. You get your first slide die. Devil's bargain. I'm going to devil's bargainize what Brian said for failure, which is to say, no matter what, you have to go through the haunted house.
Someone will steal your purse.
Picturing that security guard from scene 2 shows back up. But I'm a little befuddled on what I want that security guard to do. I don't know. I'll think on it a little more.
I mean, I really feel like I would go with the haunted house option. So I think I will take that particular devil's bargain, unless you want to one up it, Mike.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Too light one, or just too light for now. I don't think there's a dark die necessarily happening here. 4. The complication is you're gonna have to cut through the haunted house, but you're gonna have to go through the employee entrance.
Okay.
Describe how you get everyone, how you route them through to get past the eco bee disaster.
Angie will lean over to Henry and say something along the lines of, I'm going to go behind the scenes and then maybe you could get some good film coverage. Why don't you go first? I'll direct you and then you can film, and then kind of invite everybody else behind me to first slip into this alley behind all of the deep fat fryers and tents where you can see a lot of the employee chairs underneath tents to get out of the sun. Oh, sorry, I think I took a wrong turn. The bees were super, can you point me? And I just keep talking to the employees as we're moving through by acknowledging that we're not supposed to be back here and then trying to meander back to a main thoroughfare. I cut past a booth of foam fingers and cheese hats. And then unfortunately, I'm stuck up against that and the employee entrance to the haunted house.
Let's have a little bit of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
At one point during this journey, Vu, you win an immense stuffed animal at a game, which you are now lugging around. Who's waiting for this at home?
Yeah, let's go. Let me just check our safety tools here 1 second. All right, yeah. I have 2 children at home, and remember, I may or may not actually be a dairy golem. I am convinced these 2 children are too buttery for the world to see yet, and so they remain ensconced at home until they can take on a more human appearance. And they have been bugging me since all they do is watch the television. They've been bugging me for Sonic the Hedgehog thing, and I don't even really know what that is, but this thing looks like a hedgehog, and so I'm pretty sure this is what they've been talking about the whole time.
Fascinating. At a certain point, Angie, someone presses a free swag bag into your hands. What contents of the swag bag bring you closer to your drive?
In addition to a lot of coupon flyers and other papers and things, I find a map that is current to this year, which hopefully will compel a better path forward.
Indeed. Henry, there's a hawker selling things. What irresistible thing do they convince you to purchase?
I think it's knockoff sunglasses. Like, they're not good knockoffs, but maybe in a blurry video, it'll look like something more expensive.
Gordon, there are a pair of young women standing at the entrance to a little alley. They are wearing matching bedazzled t-shirts that say "No regrets." And they turn, they make eye contact, and they turn and point. And this particular alley leads directly to the Miracle of Birth barn. You can hear a chorus, muffled, because it's in a building and a little ways away, but you can hear voices wailing in heartbreak and agony. What do you do?
I think I feel the calling that I can bring hope and light to those that are within the barn.
Do you break off from the group?
I suppose I do.
We'll come back to you in a moment. The rest of you end up at the employee entrance of the haunted house. There's a young kid there who says, "Sorry, employees only."
At this moment, the styrofoam cheese heads that Sarah mentioned were nearby. In that moment, when the kid says "employees only," I prod one of those styrofoam cheese heads and say "imposter."
Is indeed.
I'm referencing the fake styrofoam thing and a dairy thing, but the voiceover of, like, is Angie what she claims to be, sort of thing. Everybody here's an imposter.
Henry, employees only.
Yeah, he's gonna pull out that badge, but he's gonna have his thumb over the name part, and he'll say, "They're kind of with me."
He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, go on in." And he opens the door, and you see a dimly lit little hall going into the haunted house, which you're going in reverse. So you see the conclusion first, and it gets less scary as you go. This haunted house is actually one of those haunted houses put on by the local evangelical church, and the displays are sins. It's sin happening, and it leads to a decision you have to make. Do you go to heaven by repenting, or do you go to hell because you're a sinner? I'll mention that you're coming in through the heaven entrance, and there's no one coming out, so the choices seem to have been made. But also, make it butter. How is this a butter heaven? As you're walking in, it's heaven, but make it butter, Angie.
There is a mural around the heaven door that has a flock of butterflies that look like they have been hand-painted sticks of butter with wings on them.
You get inside. You see most people going to the left, which is the hell. Henry and Vu, you see the fiery pits of hell. Describe it, but make it butter.
At this intersection, there's a cross and a crucified Jesus, but butter is perpetually dripping out of his hands, plip, plip, plip on the floor. And somebody has put a foam finger pointing towards the hell side over that hand.
And as a result of this and the hot day, it smells like butter gone evil, and it's just wafting out of the faux flames. It's a full sensory experience.
Indeed it is. We'll come back to this scene in a moment. We're not done at the haunted house. I would, however, well, I'm not going to make a roll ruin yet. I'll cut back over to Gordon. Gordon, the man in the suit and the zoot suit and the fedora. You see that the door to the Miracle of Birth barn is open, and he says, "They've been waiting on you, son." You hear wailing and crying.
Mhm.
Do you go inside?
Yeah, I think it's possibly with some reluctance, but yeah.
You see people crawling around on all fours among the goats and the pigs, which appear to have just been let out of their pens to roam around in the barn. And the pigs and goats are making their barnyard noises.
Mhm.
And the people crawling around are weeping, they're crying. They're pointing at the direction of the stall. And they're saying, the newly born child, he is going to leave this earth. We were so close. Oh God, we were so close. What do you do? Make a ruin roll first.
Three.
Keeping it together. What do you do?
So I kind of want to like go with the momentum here. So I'm gonna start like wailing, but then I'm gonna like try and shift it. So like I'm gonna be like, yeah, like, oh, the child that the one true God gave us. So yeah, I'm gonna just try and like slowly like turn it, and then I'm gonna start, yeah, dropping some scripture on these fools.
I love it. I love it.
Let's see if I can get them to chant along with, yeah, the actual word.
All of your efforts are directed at this stall, which is, it's a dimly lit barn to begin with, but this stall is perfectly dark. And there's a man on his hands and knees at the stall. And as you begin to lead everyone in song, you know that your task is to draw the child out of the darkness, to literally draw it back into the world. It saw the world briefly and did not like what it saw and turned away. But you can bring it back if you succeed at this risk roll. What could go wrong here, gang?
That after the baby goat dies, the crowd starts singing Baby Goat in the vein of Baby Shark. No.
That's a perfect sort of madness that I'm sort of here for. I think that what could go wrong is mine's more of a devil's bargain, actually. I just think you could fail and the crowd turns on you.
You'll get blamed.
Or you're too good. Well, this isn't, well, that's sort of, you're too good, like you succeeded, but they carry you out of here on their shoulders, you know, exultant at the sort of the spiritual moment overcomes them or overwhelms them.
I like it. You become like the Saint Peter of this goat. Let's talk about dice. Do you have a relevant die here? A relevant skill?
Oh, I've got whale.
Oh, whale. Yeah, good. I love it. And devil's bargains. I think no matter what, you have to physically go into the stall to draw the child out.
Mm.
That's my offer.
you will be haunted by the goat.
I'm going back to the imprinted idea that, little tiny black goat is following you everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, the resulting swell of the crowd causes all of the animals in the barn to escape.
That's fun.
Escaping animals.
Yeah, I like escaping animals. I also like having a little goat follow me around because that's what always happens to me in these games. Some baby follows me around in horrifying ways. But yeah, I like the idea of just all the animals escaping and essentially everyone getting to participate, baby animals following them around.
You have 2 light dice. I think a dark die is automatic here.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll. Five light.
Hey.
Complication. I'm going to make the complication a variation on my devil's bargain, which is that you will have to be the midwife for this second birth into the world.
Oh, gee.
If you don't want to do that, you can add a dark die.
No, that's fine. That's good.
You can always add a dark die and try again. To get six.
I earlier, yeah, I would do normally when I say no or shake my head, I'm like, yeah.
In any case, if you're going to keep it, we'll come back to this in a moment.
Yep.
Let's go back to the haunted house. Bearing in mind our lines and veils, I would like for everyone to narrate a scene of sin in the haunted house, but then someone else, another player, makes it butter. Think on the little scenario, and then when you're ready to give us your scenario, let us know.
I think the gluttony station has it is the state fair rendered in miniature. Just a shame.
I love it. Sarah, make it butter.
I mean, it's sculpted completely out of butter. Of course, it's a miniature butter plateau of a landscape.
Indeed, indeed. Who wants to tell us their scenario?
I mean, I was just thinking, covet thy neighbor's ox. And so there's, yeah, just kind of a diorama of like a person that's looking desirously over at their neighbor's ox.
Brian, make it butter.
It's clear that somebody's kind of retrofitted this in an attempt to look at, Paul Bunyan and Minnesota. They've done a butter sculpture of Paul Bunyan kind of caressing the ox, but unintentionally it's got a bit of a sexual innuendo to it. It looks like it's not just Paul and an ox.
Wants to tell us their scene of sin.
There is a representational like sloth scene in which you see somebody just literally covered in candy wrappers and corn dog sticks and cobs of butter or cobs of corn, and like they had just eaten most of the fair food, but then are lolling there in their slothfulness.
Ben, make it butter.
The butter, the deep fried butter stick that is included as part of this, it's kind of running down the model's body, making it also kind of weirdly uncomfortable. Like, it just very slick.
Who still has to say their scene?
I do. Just checking our lines one more time. So it's not anger, wrath. The scene is wrath, and it is depicting an older riot in North Minneapolis where the police and military came in to sort of contain the neighborhood. Somebody has done essentially a diorama depicting this sort of police versus civilians situation.
Might make it better.
So it like there's like squibs that go off and that type of thing as like guns fire and that type of thing, and then that's just butter. And so like as you're walking through, the protective glass has fallen down, and so you just get these like splats of like butter on your face, of like butter syrup on your face, just like blood and
Finally, this would be the first of the scenes if you were doing the haunted house in order. There is a man committing adultery. The scene is his wife, wearing that sort of like classic Dior silhouette dress, 1940s. And she has a cake that she's just pulled out of the oven, and she's waiting for her man at home. But then the scene changes and her man is there with some harlot, and they are kissing. Their faces are pressed together, and it's two actors, so they're actually kissing. But as they're kissing, they're transferring butter between each other's mouths. It's just like back and forth, and running down their faces. And you come out.
And Blue Butter Golem just has a moment of like, I think this is like how I was conceived.
It might be indeed. Back at the barn. Mike, narrate everything up to the point of going into the darkness to retrieve the child. What does this look like?
So I think this scene in Midsommar, where the breathing scene, and so like so they're doing that, and I'm kind of like shifting them to Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit. So we're chanting, get everyone chanting, Holy Spirit, and then and then I say like, be with us, as I turn the corner into the stall.
You crawl into the darkness of the stall, and you cannot see it, but the child is being placed in your arms. You can feel the distinct articulation of fingers caressing your arms.
Aww.
There's softness of baby flesh, and cooing. But as you recede from the darkness to bring the child out into the light, it is the goat looking up at you with gleaming black eyes. The presence of the goat, of the child, causes the barn animals to lose their shit. They begin wildly stampeding out of their stalls, breaking their stalls, trampling the people, running out into the fair. They bust through whatever barriers are there. And as the three of you are coming out of the haunted house, you are beset by this rampaging herd of cows and pigs and goats and geese and chickens. They are rampaging through. There's even a bull. Crowds are panicking. You are all split up, apart from each other. In front of you, Angie, a woman is trampled by a bull. She screams. And Henry, in front of you, you see a group of angry sows tearing someone apart and dragging them into an alley. And Vu, you see a man screaming. He's just covered in chickens, and there's just his face exposed as he screams in terror as the terrible foul drag him to the ground. I need each of you to make ruin rolls.
This man covered in chickens, is his name Nicholas Chicken Cage? I'm covered in chickens.
What did we get for ruin rolls?
My ruin is going up. I rolled a 6.
Indeed. Looks like
I
the
am-
other two of you are okay.
I am okay for a ruin.
Angie, how do you respond to this when you see this poor woman being trampled by a bull?
I shriek. I have never seen anyone. I didn't even watch horror movies really, and this sort of scene is shocking and stuns me to my core, and my fear and pain just, I shriek at the top of my lungs.
Indeed. The goat, the child looks up at you in your arms. Gordon. And it's craning its neck up to whisper something at you. You can tell it's trying to speak to you, but its voice is too small and weak.
Yeah.
Do you draw the child closer to hear what it has to say?
I think I just want to sing a lullaby to make it go to sleep. So I'm singing, you and me, baby, we ain't nothing but mammals. So let's do it like they did it in Deuteronomy 7. Just trying to get it to go to sleep instead of bothering me with whatever its strange message is.
That concludes Ring 2, and that concludes our session. Let's do stars and wishes. Stars are things you enjoyed about the session, something one of your fellow players did, something about Butter Princess itself, something I did, anything to do with the story. And wishes are things that you hope to see next time when we conclude Butter Princess. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
A star to me for everything about Gordon was just the worst and great. So big star there. I really enjoyed all the horrific scenes you painted for us, Jason, and I'm enjoying the fact that on the whole, many of us were unbothered by it. It says a lot, I think. Also, I've been reading up on the state fair, and I'm learning so much about Minnesota. So star for Minnesota and dill pickle beer. I have many questions and some concerns. Wishes, I would like to see some some tchotchke gathering, perhaps, and looking forward to the goat child. And I want to know, is Vu a golem? What does that mean? So that's exciting.
I'll go next. I star for just this, Jason, your description of the man covered in chickens and then tripping into more puns about foul fowls, like that got my goat, so to speak. I also really liked your tone of this kind of ominous Gothic horror application of the state fair, because that is how I feel when you go there. Like, it is just a nightmare. And so this is really feeding into my own personal feelings, which is also excellent. Your what's up, guys? Mwah, like, very excellent. I liked the way that Vu is starting to both humanize and dehumanize as you're playing it. I'm excited to see if you end up as a golem, or perhaps just a delusional parent who has locked their kids at home. And then, Mike, everything Christian and wrong about what you were playing was a lot of fun to watch. So stars for next time. I'm looking also forward to the opportunity of tchotchke collecting. I think that I'll be distributing cheese to a number of cult members, and that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And hopefully I don't run into any vegans.
Star for me, I really enjoy Butter Princess a lot. I like the there's something about the scenario that, you know, as a GM who likes to sort of like riff and improvise, I like to be inspired by the text and then kind of do what I'm going to do with it. And so I had a really good time doing that, because the Butter Princess, like, just there's a lot of like interesting inspiration in there that kind of got my mind reeling and wanting to do things, like the description of the angelic being with the chocolate chip cookies and the milk. That's all like, that's in the incursion, but I kind of felt like that gave me permission to make it into this more like strange, like holy, you know, kind of moment or whatever, which is, I thought that was really, really great. So star for Butter Princess is really good. I enjoyed all the characters quite a lot, and I had particular fun with the sort of like desperate YouTuber enthusiasm. That was really, really fun. Gordon's whole thing was really enjoyable, and I'm just kind of loving all of that, or sort of like weird, like baby in a manger thing that's kind of going on. That's all very, very fun. I do, as a wish, I do want to know about like this golem situation, and like, what does that even mean? And how does it apply to the Butter Princess? And I'm also very curious about with Angie. I kind of want to see where this like kind of this story with the cult goes, as a wish as well. But as a star, I'm really enjoying what everybody's doing right now, and I'm also kind of enjoying this sort of strange tone that we have kind of going on here. Because I've never been to the Minnesota State Fair, but I've been to the Texas State Fair plenty of times, and it's such an interesting mix of like happiness and exhaustion and filth and sweat, but also like colorful and like joy. And then it's also got just like these weird parts where you can kind of just turn a corner. The Texas State Fair is huge. I don't know how big the Minnesota State Fair is, but Texas State Fair is enormous. And like, you can like turn a corner and you end up in some strange exhibit where there's only like 2 other people there, you know, in a vast hall of some random ass thing, you know, and it almost like feels like weird and eerie and isolating. So I just love those sort of mix of strangeness and feelings. It's just such a good setting for this sort of weird surreal horror that we're kind of doing here. And so I really am enjoying that quite a lot. But yeah, those are my stars and wishes.
Minnesota State Fair is equally huge. My initial experience was riding my bike into it from the backside, not knowing what it was. And I thought I'd entered the Twilight Zone because it was the first snowfall in November and I was completely alone. And I thought I was never going to get out. It was bizarre. Stars for me have to include the giant fiberglass cow for the all-you-can-drink booth. The idea of people crawling underneath it, I could see that happening. It was gross. I loved it. And Jason, your list of the security guard going through like no outside cottage cheese, no outside flan. That was fabulous. Ben, the idea of gift cards as bribes was amazing. I love the idea of like reusing or repurposing gift cards like that. And Sarah mentioned your "What's up" line, but also I want a bus full of olds. That was incredible. Sarah, the My Little Pony thing with the world's going to be destroyed by plastic, so I don't get the My Little Pony. That was so sad. And I love your annotated State Fair map from 3 years ago. Like I've got a whole that's in my mind as a visual. Like I need to make this into a T-shirt or something. I don't know. What else? Mike, butter squibs are like gross but amazing. What was the other thing you said? Oh, you said I'm gonna start dropping some scripture on these fools. And that's just perfect. Love it. So I'm really enjoying all this. It's been terrific. Look forward to seeing how it concludes.
Yeah, so I have spent a lot of time with this text trying to visualize it, and have never like played or like I think I was Jason and I were doing a different game when you were running it at the retreat. So I've never witnessed it in person. So it's just a star for like the whole experience of getting to see something that I was kind of tired of like come to life, and all the cool stuff in it. So like Angie is so like spot on, upper Midwest, like exactly what that is. It's wonderful, everything about it. And Henry as the YouTuber is perfect as well. And like I just like love all those like little details, whether it's the baby shark thing or just the like the little references and those little like verisimilitudes are always very, very fun. And then I do like how like Vu is starting to like unfold that golem nature as we get Butterear and Butterear. That I like how you're kind of like leaning into like inevitably like this feels strangely familiar. Maybe this is how I was conceived was really nice. And then this is kind of like I think piggybacking on what Jason said about like his own experience of running the game, but I really like that conflation of tone, that like it's very much like your tone of like how you run things, and like coming from that, I think the trophy background and running a lot of that. And I love seeing that like just like laid over this like madcap like Cohen's thing. It's really wonderful. It's always a pleasure. Wishes, I'm just really looking forward to see like as we get into the actual like butter princessy stuff, how the characters and the increasingly strange and weird cultish gothic nature of this like collides into like that concept. It makes it really enticing.
I want to give a star to I actually do want to give a star to the layout and the visual design choices here, Mike, because a lot of the things that I was narrating was inspired like by just like some of the things that I was looking at, so like there's a picture of a woman who's got butter like dribbling out of her mouth, and like that was like 100% in my mind when I was thinking of the adulterous couple kissing, and like having butter dribble out of their mouths, so there's something about that. I think that like it's worth mentioning that as part of the experience, and like kind of how it like adds to the at least from the GM side looking at it, it kind of I felt like quite inspired by a lot of the things I'm looking at, so
nice.
So that was really fun too. So.
I'll add one last wish, I guess. Angie with that blood curdling scream just hit Ruin 5, so that's gonna start happening.
To do the reduction roll, then you get to see how you serve the interests of the state fair and betray the group. It'll be fun. Any other stars or wishes?
Oh, the character keeper, I haven't seen this edition of it, is fantastic and amazing. And maybe I'm just like out of date of the new character keeper tech that's going around, but it's really cool.
Yeah, Ben always does it up really nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I will go ahead and stop the recording